Hi guys, it's moO coming at you again with another video for Battlefront, and this time we're playing Hoth and the AT-AT mode. So this is one of my first times in AT-ST, so let's see what happens. I've played against them a few times, but I've just simply not been able to find the pickup, so apologies for the bad aiming. As I said, it just seems to be luck of the draw at the moment. Whenever I see an AT-ST token flying around, I'm either not quite quick enough, or it's been used and it's just waiting to spawn in again. So one of the things that a lot of people have brought up is how one-sided this game mode is on this particular map. Anyone familiar with the films will know that the Imperial forces massively slammed the rebels, but obviously this is a game and it's not the film, and there needs to be some sort of balance. So anyone that was lucky enough to play the alpha will know that it was the other way round. So initially the rebels were too strong, and the Imperial forces just simply didn't have a chance really. This is obviously now flipped. Now a lot of people are saying, as I said, that it's unbalanced, but really it isn't. The problem is right now is a lot of people do not know what they're doing. In the last couple of games I've noticed that that's changed, although looking at this gameplay here with me and my AT-ST, you may think otherwise, but as you can see, people are starting to get to grips with the mechanics and how to shoot. I'm getting shot by iron rounds quite frequently here, but the main thing is that people are complaining about is that the ATs are just too strong, and that simply isn't true. It just requires people to work, one, as a team, and two, it needs basically a decent pilot. If the rebels have a decent pilot, or just people that are willing to try it and kind of concentrate all of their firepower on the AT-ATs when the shields are down, then they can go down very, very quickly. I've had a couple of games now where rebels have won. It's just a case of it doesn't seem like there's that many people working as a team. So I agree, it is unbalanced, but maybe not for the reasons that people are thinking it is. I'd like to see it, so maybe there was a few more hints maybe on the screen, or obviously once the full game comes out there will be like a training mode, and that will make a lot more sense for people, and hopefully it's just a case of people experiencing the game, learning which weapons do what, which pickups are right to use at certain times. As I said, you know, if you've got a decent pilot, then the AT-ATs go down very, very quickly. The other tip, if you are a rebel and you're struggling to beat the Imperial forces, is if you're lucky enough to pick up an orbital strike token, save it. Now you may be wondering why should I save it? Why shouldn't I just use it immediately to kill myself some troopers? Well, the reason being is when the AT shields go down, the orbital strike can do up to 50% damage just on its own on an AT-AT. So listen out for the prompts for when obviously the shields are down and when you should be concentrating your firepower. If you do that and you get the orbital strike bang on top of it, you're going to take off 50% of its health. Then it's just a case of the rest of your team contributing and hopefully hurting that AT-AT, so it's not just you. So getting back to a bit of the gameplay here, this team clearly aren't the most glued up and working together. You can see we're slightly annihilating them. Now this bit of the map always seems to be very, very much an Imperial slaughter on the rebels. Now I don't know if it's something which they can improve upon, although as you can see there I get hit by a guy from the side. I wasn't watching all of my fields of view, but yeah, this particular part of the map, it definitely does seem to favour the Imperials. The other thing which a lot of people have mentioned is the token location. Now the token location of the Imperials is very much near where they spawn, or behind the first kind of like mountains to the right hand side, and that gives them a lot of opportunity to grab them without coming under fire at all. Now the rebels unfortunately don't have that luxury, so when you're on the rebel side you'll notice that a lot of your tokens are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, which isn't particularly helpful, and more often than not leads to immediate death. Maybe this is something that DICE can take on board, and maybe just move those locations back towards the building, or back towards safe havens, or maybe some cover a little bit more. That's something I fed back to one of my friends at DICE from when I did the Battlefield 4 Showdown. So hopefully, you know, that advice will be taken on board. So obviously we're going through the things that people don't like, and the other thing that people don't seem to like is the fact that this game isn't Battlefield. Now, I don't know why there's such an uproar about this. DICE said right from the start that this wasn't going to be a reskinned version of Battlefield. It was always intended to be its own entity. When I say that, that includes the original Battlefronts as well. So there's a main reason why this isn't called Battlefront 3, and that is because it wasn't meant to be a continuation of that series. Okay, they maintained the Battlefront name, but it's not a third, it's effectively a reboot. Now, because DICE is so known for Battlefronts, I think just even though Battlefront, or should I say, even though DICE have never said that Battlefront was going to be a Battlefield skin or clone, it was just generally assumed that they were saying that and it would still be Battlefield. And okay, the vehicles and everything like that are still very much Battlefield orientated. Obviously we're using a customized version of the Frostbite engine, but it was never going to be Battlefield. This game was never targeted at Battlefield players. Battlefield players may enjoy it, but it was never designed with them in mind. It was designed to be more of a casual pick up and play, a sofa browse, you know, a sofa surfing game with, when you've got a couple of friends over, you want to pick it up, have a couple of games, you're feeling that sci-fi mood, and you know, you really want to get into that Star Wars zone, and just to enjoy yourself for a little bit. Now you can do that, and that's what this game is all about. It's about having fun. And I think if we've gone too much in the Battlefield direction, its target audience would not necessarily enjoy it. It would maybe be a bit confusing, or you know, be a little bit overwhelming. The good thing about the tokens is it gives everyone a chance to experience the vehicles, it gives everyone a chance to experience all of the weapons, whereas normally they might not have had that opportunity, simply because the Battlefield experienced players know that they want that vehicle and they head straight to it. This adds a bit of randomness to it, which is a good thing but also a bad thing, and I'll come to that a little bit more in a second. But to get people to engage and experience the different parts of the game mechanics, you can actually see why DICE went in this direction. That's not going to be to everyone's flavour or taste, but that's just how it is, and the sooner you kind of accept that about the game, the quicker you enjoy it and you appreciate it for what it is. I know a lot of people have said it's Call of Duty esque in the way that the game shoots and plays. I don't know what drugs those people have been smoking, but this is nothing like Call of Duty. You have to lead your shots. Call of Duty you don't. The scale of it, you know, just a general teamwork ethic is just not a Call of Duty thing. I can kind of run and gun on this, sure, but without the rest of my team working with me, the chances are that we're not going to win. So yeah, I don't know where people have got that from, but as always, you know, I've got to appreciate other people's opinions. We don't all like the same things, and we have different opinions on what makes a game good and what makes a game bad. So although I don't necessarily agree with those people's opinions, I respect that. But yeah, getting back to what I think the game does well, and maybe what it can kind of like be improved, certain areas where it could be improved. The major one is the matchmaking, in the sense that if I want to play with a party, right now there was a serious problem. So DICE basically came out and said that we was going to have like a buddy system or a partner system, which meant that you could play with one of your friends, but effectively that would be it. Now, parties can join games, but there is a serious issue with this, in the sense that when you're trying to get a party into a game, you get a nice little notification up in the top left saying someone in your party has joined the game, and then it will prompt you to join. But, and this is a major but, when you try to join that server, you can't. You effectively have to queue, and with these matches taking between 10-15 minutes, 9 times out of 10 you are queuing until that round ends. Now the problem is, when the matchmaking is occurring, it's looking for 95% full servers. Now when it's doing that, it's not taking into account that you are in a party and you want to play with your friends. Now you can tell it does this by when the servers are particularly busy and you're maybe searching for a server solo, you'll notice it comes up on the top left searching for games, and then it'll basically expand its search as it goes on. Normally it shows up at about 95%, and it'll drop down to 80% server full, and then so on and so on until it gets down to, I think, about 40% is the lowest I've seen it. Now it should, in theory, be a simple fix. DICE need to add an algorithm or an option that when you are matchmaking, that you have an ability to search for servers based on their capacity. Now, I know that there's obviously no match browser, but adding this simple one option will make life so much easier. So for example, I'm playing with 3 or 4 of my friends, then I can search it that I'm looking for servers with maybe between 70 and 80% capacity. That means there's going to be a high likelihood of when me and my friends join that server, we're going to, 1, get into the game immediately without queuing, and 2, have a high likelihood of being on the same team. Now, I know that DICE said that, you know, it was all about the partner system, but this is the one area that seems a bit of a strange direction for me. So we have a game which is kind of been catered and more aimed at casual playing, yet we have no ability to casually play with our friends. Now, okay, you could say that clans and teams are going to maybe use this feature and destroy, you know, social or casual gamers and make the game unfun or unenjoyable for them, but I don't know any of my friends, even those that play casually, that want to play by themselves. This whole game is about experiencing it with friends and enjoying it with your team, and right now it's almost impossible. I mean, we've been quite lucky in the sense that I've had a few games, mainly on Drop Zone, where we've been able to get on the same team, but on this particular mode, no way. There's normally a wait of about 10 or 15 minutes. By that time, one of my friends is bored, he'll quit out and then go and do something else and decide to come back again, and then the process starts over. So I think it's one of the main things that DICE needs to address pre-launch. We obviously have a few of the balancing issues which I mentioned earlier, but the main Achilles heel that people aren't going to like is the fact that you cannot play with your friends at present. So I've ended up talking most of the way through this video. As you can see, you know, we're approaching the last part of the Hoth Assault. We've got both of our AT-ATs up still, so at this point, if they're not down to at least halfway, or they have an extremely good pilot and a speeder, it's going to be game over. Now, this game is going to be game over, because I'm recording this commentary afterwards, so it is going to be a loss for the rebels, unfortunately, but hey, that's how things go. So let me know what you think, and let me know if this video has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.